I hope to do prior to the legislative session is put in legislation to change the election calendar for petitioning candidacies. Okay, because one thing that came to light when we were in the midst of the Lamont-Lieberman primary, there was a discrepancy in the calendar. For some reason, the legislature didn't change the primary calendar for petitioning candidates to match the August primary. We had a September primary. The petitioning candidacy calendars were still geared to the September calendar for the primary, and so as a result, it meant that Mr. Lieberman had the opportunity to wait and see how he did in the primary to decide whether he would file the petition candidacies. So if we were to change the calendar to get it in line with the August primary, it would make the filing period about a month earlier, so voters would have that information and know that one of the candidates or both chose to be petitioning candidates. Okay.
What would you say to those who, however, that say democracy worked because the majority voters chose who they wanted to choose?
You know, and they did in the primary and the general election. Senator Lieberman was completely within his rights to do what he did. I do think we should change the primary calendar for petitioning candidacies, because in virtually every other state, they have their petitioning deadline earlier. Voters are always helped by more information. We're not trying to prevent anyone from bringing a petitioning candidacy.
So could he still then switch if he loses the primary, if he were to file hedging his bets?
I'm sorry?
Can you do that? Can you file to switch your party before the primary? Like, if you get what
Mr. Lieberman never changed his party. Right. He was always a Democrat. He filed for a new party designation, Connecticut for Lieberman. And I'm not sure that anyone in our state is registered under that party label. So this changing the calendar wouldn't prevent anyone from starting a new party. That's
But it would prevent him in that case, if let's say that law were in effect today or for this year, if he decided, okay, I'm going to run as under a Connecticut for Lieberman party, there is no Democratic primary between him and Lamont.
Yeah, if he decided not to primary, right, he would just petition onto the ballot. The sore loser law that she brought up does exist in some states, and there are a couple of states that say if you go through a primary and you lose, you cannot petition onto the ballot in the general election. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that what we should do is move the petitioning deadline back to match the August primary. You have to file earlier to show that you would like to petition on the ballot for November. That's all we're saying.
It would eliminate your possibility of running in a primary if you decided to do that.
No, no. It would just let the voters know that you were running in the primary, but that you also intended to petition on the ballot in November.
So we really wouldn't change that.
So he
That's
could
right.
still do what he did. He could still do what he, well.
Yes, he could still do what he did. He would just have to file his papers about a month earlier.
And the importance of that again?
It's to get we realized in our first statewide August primary that we forgot to change the election calendar with respect to petitioning candidacies. So they would have to candidates would have to file their petition signatures a month early. All we're saying is we're changing the deadline for filing the petitions.
And the advantage is voters get more information.
Voters, right, voters would have more information. We're not saying that if you lose a primary, you can't petition on. That's the sore loser law. We're not proposing that. We're just saying earlier petition deadline filing date.